Peace. Good morning. How you doing? It's Mr. R2 here at Consistency is Currency, and I have to formally apologize. I've been playing around, messing with stuff, lost track of time. So I was operating in the spirit of CP time today. So I ask you your apology. But it won't change anything about what I'm going to talk about today. So those that are watching right now, those that are in this space, I thank you and I appreciate you. Not just 1,000% today. I want to appreciate you 2,000%. I'm gonna give you 2,000s out there. Miss Kelly, where you been? I have not seen you in a long time. But hey, today we're going to crack the mold. Today we're going to give you something a little bit extra today. Why? I think you deserve it. I think you deserve it today, yesterday, and forevermore. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to give thanks for those that are in the podcast space today. We're going to shout out the countries that have been listening to the podcast. The podcast numbers are growing. I like it. I appreciate it. So Italy, thank you. India, thank you. Nigeria, Canada, Germany, Indonesia, Singapore, South Korea, South Africa, Russia, Australia, Kenya, Puerto Rico, Morocco, Mexico, New Zealand, Ireland, Turkey, Netherlands, Pakistan, Algeria, Slovenia. Where in the world are you at? Libya. I don't know where you are, but it's growing and it's expanding. But I appreciate you for listening. Those that are listening in by ear on the podcast platforms, iHeartRadio, Spotify, what else? Google Podcasts, as well as Facebook Podcasts and Anchor. So thank you for listening. So let's go ahead and jump into a new position. I'm away early in the mornings for now. Okay, but I thank you for being here. So we're going to jump into it. So what I need you to do right now, before we jump 2 feet into this thing called When All Hope is Lost, share this live in a Facebook group, an active Facebook group. Share this live in a Facebook group, and we're going to jump inside this subject, inside this conversation with 2 feet. So where did this conversation come from? I'm just going to be a little bit honest. Where did this conversation come from? It came from something that's necessary to have these conversations with, because there's a lot of people who they're in this space right now when all hope is lost, and I wanted to speak to them. You know, I want to speak to those who feel all hope is lost. I want to speak to those who have been in the situation or been in this type of circumstance to talk about what did they do when all hope was lost. So if you've ever been in this situation, if you've ever been in this position, go ahead and begin to communicate about what did you do when all hope was lost for you, because the things that you express is going to allow someone to see it from a particular circumstance, or see it from a particular position, and it's going to give them the energy to say, you know what, if they went through it and they got through it, then what do I need to do to get to the other side of this situation that I found myself in, or this circumstance that I'm in right now? What does over the hump look like? Because what over the hump look like for me will look different for you. But I do, and I can tell you that there is the other side of the hump. But you're going to have to do some things in order for you to get there, in order for you to survive, and in order for you to accomplish that thing. You have to understand that all hope is not lost. Like we already do, we're going to go through the definitions, and then we're going to just begin to just build and begin to develop and to groom this conversation to make it strong. So again, if you've ever been in this position, go ahead and drop, those comments on what did you do. I don't care if you say, well, I prayed, or I sat with a therapist, or I changed the places I've gone, or the places I've been going to. Whatever it is, let's have that open dialogue. All right, so when all hope is lost. So hope, what they're saying, the definition of hope is, it is a feeling of expectation and desire for a certain thing to happen. And those know and understand, when we're talking and going through definitions, we put it in contrast and create something new out of it, just to make it relevant to us and who we are to this day. So again, the definition of what they're saying hope is a feeling of expectation and desire for a certain thing to happen. So the contrast here is the red over the white. Hope is a feeling of expectation. It is a feeling. So if hope is a feeling and something that you have inside of you, then you have to understand that hopeless is not a feeling, but hopeless is the conversation that you're having with yourself. Hope is the feeling of expectation, but hopeless are the conversations that you have inside of yourself, conversations that you're having when you're in that moment, conversations that you're internally having when you're in that space. Because if you are at a feeling of being hopeless, or you are at a feeling of being lost, what conversations are you having with yourself, to yourself, when you're by yourself? Because if, again, hope is the feeling or expectation, then what are your expectations to yourself when you're talking to yourself? And what do you desire for yourself after you have recognized those feelings that you're having are a feeling of hopelessness and not a feeling of expectations? Because if you have an expectation that is going to desire you to go forward, then you must change how you feel in that moment. In that moment, because it's in that moment when you decide whether you're going to continue to go down that route or not. In that moment is when you decide if this is for you or not. In that moment is when you decide that my expectations have become greater than anything that I've ever hoped for. So therefore, I am going to meet those expectations at the door, and I'm going to kick that door down in order for me to get to the other side. And the other definition for hope is to expect with confidence and to cherish a desire with anticipation. That is powerful. So I'm going to say this definition. I probably could have kept the whole definition, but I didn't want to. We want to make it a little bit more relevant. So the definition is expect with confidence and to cherish a desire with anticipation. So the contrast in this is red over white. To expect with confidence and with anticipation. I have a strong anticipation that I am not going to be here in this position of hopelessness for a long time. So I anticipate that there is something greater on the other side. Because if it is saying that greater is he that is within me, that means there is something that is inside of me that I must exude. And there is something that is inside of me that I must have the confidence. In order for me to get to the other side, I must change my expectation on what is about to happen to me, because I am looking past where I am right now, because there's something on the other side of me. There is something on the other side of this situation that I found myself in. There is something on the other side of where I am right now, that all hope is not lost, because on the other side of loss, there is a lesson. Because if you have the expectation with confidence, that means that there is nothing that is going to stop me from getting to my point. There is nothing that is going to stop me from getting to my destiny. There is nothing that is going to stop me along this journey, because I am walking with the expectation of confidence, and I am walking with the anticipation that is going to happen. Because if I cherish the moment, if I cherish the lessons, if I cherish the pain, if I cherish those feelings that I had, and stop being so submissive to the pain, stop being so submissive to the agony, stop being so submissive to the failures, stop being so submissive to the denial, stop being so submissive to the no's, because on the other side of no, there is a yes. But you have to walk in the confidence and the anticipation that there is a yes on the other side of that no. There is a yes on the other side of the not right now, because I am walking with so much confidence that I am not lost in the moment anymore, because I have the confidence of expectation, and I have the anticipation that is going to happen. So I expect it to happen. When I walk in a room, I walk in a room to expect there is change that's going to happen in the room when I exit the room. Just like when you exit the womb of your mother, you exit the womb with the expectations of living. The expectations of being impregnated with the seed is the same expectations of being impregnated with the idea and the concept of the reality that you're going to create something great, that you're going to create and birth the idea of a business, or you're going to create and birth the idea of the anticipation of what is going to happen and is going to come when you walk in confidence, because all hope is not lost. Now, you may be lost, but you have to understand that being lost and attaching lost with hope is really attaching your thoughts with the process. But are you lost within the thoughts of your process? Because if you're lost within the thoughts of your process, you're really not going to begin to be in line with the journey, because you're walking with the deformity of scoliosis. So therefore, you don't have that strong backbone like you should. And the last definition of hope, I love this one. I loved it. Hope is a optimistic state of mind that is based on an expectation of positive outcomes with the respect to events and circumstances in one's life. So the contrast of this is white over red. So it is an optimistic state of mind with the respects to events and circumstance. That is telling you that if I respect the events and circumstance in my life, then I must be optimistic within my mind state, or my state of mind, or my mindset, to let me know that I am going to give respects to these events, because in those events and circumstances, I learned a lesson from it. I am not going to continue to walk around this corner and keep getting punched in the face if I know that there's pain on the other side of this corner. If I know that there's pain that is going to be waiting for me, then why must you go around that corner to get punched in the face? If you got punched in the face every time you walked around that corner, you have to begin to utilize your wisdom to know that I am going to go around this corner, and the first thing I'm going to do is duck. That's where wisdom comes in. That's where wisdom takes the next step. Because If I am optimistic in my state of mind, then I am going to give respect to the events that have happened in my life. And I'm going to give respects to the circumstances that happen in my life. And I'm not going to succumb to the circumstance, and I'm not going to succumb to the pain, and I'm not going to succumb to the losses, but I am going to give respect to the circumstances that I found myself in, and I'm not going to succumb to it because I am stronger than what I went through, and I am bigger and better than what I went through because I'm optimistic within my mindset. My mindset have changed. Just like we spoke about yesterday, there has to be an evolution or you're going to die trying. There has to be an evolved way of thinking or you're going to always think the same way, and the outcome is going to continue to be the same way because you were never optimistic within your mind. Because if help opens people's eyes, then you have to understand that help has to come from you. When help comes from you, don't you know it will begin to open your eyes to realize that you have the ability to understand that you are not succumbing to the situations or succumbing to the circumstances, but I will respect it and learn from it. And now we're talking about attachments. Now, as I begin to go through this lesson plan and begin to flush this out, I've begun to understand that I would say me. I'm not going to say you. I would say me. I have begun like in the beginning of where I am right now in my life. I noticed that I was attached to the wrong things. I was attached to the wrong things because when you're attached to the wrong thing, there is nothing good that comes from it. So you can't attach hopeless to hope. You can't. It doesn't even go right. Just like when you're looking at this and it says hopeless to hope, it's like I will never make it. Make it is hope. I will never is hopeless. Because if you say I will never, that means you have begun to make a declaration within yourself or a declaration in the conversations that you're having with yourself. Because you've made a false accusation that it will never come to pass. You made a false accusation, or you have made a false affirmation that you would never do it. I will never. That is hopeless conversation. That's having a hopeless conversation with yourself. But to speak from a direction and from the velocity of hope, you will have to say, I will make it. I must make it. So you begin to change that. So you have to begin to detach yourself from attaching yourself to hope, attaching hopeless to hope. Detach that, because when you detach hopeless off, you have to begin to attach hope to hope. That's when you cling on to the mere possibilities. What are you clinging on to that you no longer should be clinging on to you anymore? What situations have you yet to let go of? What situations have you yet to part away from? What things are clinging on to you that you're tearing down every possibility that you ever had to do something bigger, better, and greater, but you allow it to cling on to you for so long, or you have allowed it to cling on to you for too long? You hear the difference in what was said? If you say that it has clinged on to me for far too long, that means there is a decision that is being made. There is a decision and a new process that is being made. Because if hope is the optimistic state of mind, that means within my mind, in the state that I'm in, I am making a decision that is going to be bigger, better, and greater. And the one thing that I want you to remember is your losses are your lessons. Your losses are your lessons. And when you're in that position to know and understand that my losses, there are lessons in my losses, then I understand that I am learning and I'm giving respects to that. I am giving respect to the lessons that I've learned. I'm giving respects to the events that happen in my life. I am giving respects to the circumstances that I walked away from. Because I walked away from it, I did not succumb to the circumstance. I did not succumb to being a victim. I did not succumb to the environment that I was in at that particular moment, but I have learned from it in order for it to be a lesson. You can't deny something and expect something to happen, but you have to decide something in order for something to take place. Because, like we spoke about yesterday with evolution, evolution can take you from a place to a place, but you're going to have to decide, where is that place and what does that place look like for you, and where am I going when I get to that place? Because along the journey, the destiny was so clear. And once I got to the destiny, the determination with inside of me made me that much more determined to continue to do it over and over again. Because to do it over and over again, that is when you meet consistency. That's enough. That's all I'm gonna give you right now until tomorrow. That's all I'm gonna give you until tomorrow. But you gotta understand that all hope is not lost. Because for you to say all hope is lost, that means that you're having a internal conversation with yourself. That means you have already decided that the determination that you had in the beginning had defeated you. And because you allowed your determination to be defeated, you will no longer get to the destination because you have lost the destiny within inside of you. All those D words. You've allowed it to defeat you. You allow yourself to succumb to the circumstance that you no longer pay respects to it. You no longer allow those lessons to be learned. And you have to. You have to. And when you do it and you become consistent with it, then it's going to mature you. Don't you know that life is a process? You're always learning. You're always living. And it is a wash and rinse process. You're going to learn, you're going to live, you're going to live, you're going to learn, you're going to learn, you're going to live, you're going to live, you're going to learn, and you're going to continue that process. Because the things that you went through is creating that strength, that inner strength within inside of yourself that is going to get you to your destination. And your destination is not final. It's not. Because there's going to be something else that you're going to run into. But I will tell you, but because you ran into it before, you can foresee the outcome. Don't run away from the outcome because it's the inevitable. Ain't that about some thing? I pushed the button too early. but you got it. But you got it though. All hope is not lost. It's not. But y'all be blessed. Obviously, something is telling me to wait till tomorrow to say what I was about to say. But y'all continue to be blessed, continue to be great, and just be consistent. Peace.